Welcome to my garden. If you're brand new, my name is Barbara. I live in Tennessee in Zone 7B. It's a pretty beautiful fall day. The high today is 65. There is a gentle breeze. It actually feels like fall in the daytime. Here lately, it has been like 85 degrees. It has only felt like fall at night, which I'm not usually out, or first thing in the morning, which I'm not usually out. But even in the morning, like by 8 o'clock, it's already sun's bright shining, the temperature is already up high. So this is the first day for me that has actually felt like fall during the day, and I am absolutely loving it. Fall is by far my most favorite season, and so I'm glad that fall is here, and I hope that she is here to stay. But on this video today, I'm excited and a little nervous because today we're going to attempt to harvest our Yukon Gold potatoes. So if you are new here, you did not see when we planted these. This was an experiment that I did to plant fall potatoes. I've always done my potatoes in the spring, but this past spring, I did not have time to do that. I missed the window, and then I saw somewhere where somebody was saying in Zone 7 that you could do fall potatoes, and I thought I would give it a try. So we put these in the ground probably about, let me think, it has probably been about 2 months ago. Yukon Gold potatoes generally need between 70 to 85 days to mature to harvest, and it has not been 85 days, but we have an expected frost coming in the next 2 days, so I'm going to go ahead and harvest them because I know that they won't stand the frost. And I'm excited to see if I got anything. Now, I did, when I was out here the other week watering, I had some potatoes on the top of the ground. So if nothing else, I got those 2 potatoes. They were small, and that was about a week ago. And my goal was to keep these in the ground or in the bed until the end of October. Our estimated first frost date in this area is October the 19th. It is coming a few days earlier than that. According to the forecast, it's supposed to be a frost. And so I toyed with the idea of putting hoops on this bed and covering it and taking a chance because next week the lows are in the 40s, right? But then I thought I would be so disappointed if I had potatoes and then just because of 2 nights of frost, I lost them all and didn't get a chance to benefit anything, right? Especially since it's my first time, and especially since I don't have any because I didn't do any in the spring, and because it's it's my first time as an experiment. Had I done some in the spring and I was just doing this as an extra, I may, take a chance and roll the dice per se, as you would say. But because I don't have any potatoes, let me at least see if I got some. And 2 days is not going to make that much of a difference. So I'm going to take you along the journey with me to see if we really do have some harvest of Yukon Gold potatoes. Now I wanted to show you this because I've never seen this before. These look like tomatoes, right? These are potato berries. I have never ever seen these before. And when I came out here the other day, I'm like, what are these things? Now, I've grown Yukon Gold potatoes for, let's see, this is my 3rd year, I think, doing Yukon Gold potatoes. I've never, ever seen those potato berries. Again, this is my first time growing them outside. I've always grown them in my tunnel. And when I saw them, I'm like, is it a weed growing? But it's attached to the actual potato plants. But it's just interesting how you can grow something over and over and then you learn something new about that particular variety. I've never seen these before. I had to look it up. And so what I found is that these potato berries are the seeds of the potatoes. Now, I read many conflicting points of research when I looked up the potato berries, but most things that I read said don't try to use these as seeds to get new potatoes because it is not consistent, and you may not get a good quality potato if you try to use these as seeds to get another harvest of potatoes. One thing that was consistent is that these potato berries are actually toxic. They actually contain an ingredient called solanine, if I'm not mistaken, that is toxic. So you cannot eat the berries. So I'm glad that I looked it up. So again, don't be just popping stuff in your garden if you've never seen it before, or just think that everything is edible. These are actually toxic. So we are going to, of course, when we get rid of the potato plant itself, the top part, we'll get rid of the berries and all that. But have you guys ever seen potato berries? Now, the one thing that was a little bit concerning is that what I read is that these form, it said in favorable conditions when it's pollinated, but it says that the potatoes are putting more energy into making seeds than making tubers. Now, that don't make me feel good, because that may mean that I got a whole lot of potato berries and no potatoes. Lord bless these potatoes. Okay, y'all, I'm gonna quit stalling. There's nothing to it but to do it. And here's the thing that I have to remind myself. When I shot the video of doing these potatoes, remember, it was an experiment. I already didn't have potatoes, right? And I had already summed it up that this year I was not gonna have Yukon Gold potatoes that I actually grew myself. So this was an extra, so to speak. And so I said in that video, I'm not counting on these. But you know, once you grow it and you tend to it, you want there to be something there. So let's go see if there's something there. Okay, so here we go. Now, out of all the things, I see potatoes. I see potatoes. Woohoo! Y'all, first potato. Oh my, ah! Look at this! Look at this! OMG. Y'all. Now, I know y'all like, girl, you act like you ain't never harvested anything. But I ain't never harvested fall potatoes. Look at that. Y'all, that's big. That is big. That might be the biggest Yukon Gold potato I've ever done. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. What I was going to say before I saw that potato was these are one of my favorite things to harvest. Things that are underground, like potatoes and carrots, because it's like a treasure hunt. You know? We got more. It is like a treasure hunt. And I want to say in this bed, I only planted maybe 10 potatoes or so. So we may not get a whole lot. But we getting something. Nice. Okay, we can at least say that it worked, right? We can at least say it worked. We got all that. Ooh. What is you guys' favorite thing to harvest? I love the underground stuff because you don't know what you have. It's always a surprise. Okay, that one's a little, those are split. So I don't know if that's gonna be any good. Yeah, that one's not any good. More potatoes. I wonder if what 2 weeks would have done, right? We'll never know. But what we do know is that it worked. Now this back row I planted probably 2 weeks after the first row. That one's bad. I also like that I can use this bed if I wanted to for garlic for the fall, or I could save it for my onions in the spring. Y'all, we have potatoes. Not a whole lot, but we have potatoes. We have potatoes. It worked. It worked. I'm proud of my little potatoes, y'all. And again, I realized for potatoes, you got to dedicate a lot of space. But if I had a whole row of raised beds out here, I could have done a whole, all of them potatoes, right? And I wonder, if I don't do them in the spring, at least now I know I can do them in the fall for sure. I got to go back to my notes and see when I planted these. I want to say I planted these in August sometime, if I'm not mistaken, like the beginning of August. I'm pretty sure is when I did it. So we might can do that. We might can do that. Now, when I have the row of raised beds here, I may have other stuff in it. So I'm gonna have to think about my strategy and my crop plan about what I want to use the raised beds for when I get them all lined up. Definitely for sure onions. But once the onions come out in May, then I'll have time to do other stuff in them as well. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But anyway, obviously I can still do them in the spring too as well. I will just have to dedicate and have space in the tunnel. And that's what tripped me up the last time. I didn't really have space and I didn't want to take up anything because everything was doing so good. I didn't want to take up stuff to put in the potatoes. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes. But at least I know that in zone 7 you can do a round of fall potatoes. And so I probably could have even planted them earlier, like maybe the end of July, and that would have given me an additional 2 weeks. And again, if it wasn't going to be a potential frost, then I would have still had maybe 2 more weeks, and that might have made a difference. I would say on each potato root, there were probably on average 2 to 3 potatoes. And y'all, I got some pretty nice sized ones. Like this is the biggest one that I have, and I probably have 3 or 4 this size. The rest of them are small. Like that's the size of my hand. I've never grown a Yukon Gold that big. Mine have usually been small, on the smaller side. The other thing that I did different this time is that normally I have bought my potatoes at the co-op, which means they were not organic. Again, wasn't thinking, just trying something, doing something. This time I actually used Wood Prairie and bought certified organic seed potatoes. I will do that again. I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna go to the co-op, but I think I prefer knowing that it's organic seed potatoes and all of that and not treated and all that good stuff. And I got a bigger potato for sure. I don't know if it's because of that brand or that company, but I can tell you I've never had one this big. So this is not, this is not anything to, I probably could make, I would say 2 to 3 family size servings of mashed potatoes. I could probably do 2 or 3, maybe 2 big bowls of potato salad, like for a large gathering or something like that. And that's probably about it. But if I wanted to like just have a small serving of mashed potatoes, I could probably get 5 or 6 out of it. So again, it's not a lot, but it's more than what I had. And now that I know that I can. So here's the message, is that don't be afraid to try new stuff in your garden. Don't be afraid to push the limits. What did I have to lose? The only thing that I had to lose was that I wasn't going to have any potatoes. But had I not planted them, I wasn't going to have any potatoes anyway. Right? And now I know. Like I didn't know, and now I know. I keep saying that because knowledge is power. So I didn't get a good harvest this year. I got a good harvest this year. I didn't get a lot of potatoes. But I only did 1 bed. I only did 1 row and a half, right? Because I bought the seed potatoes and I only had enough for that 1 row in the 2x10 bed. And then I bought another ½ pound and did a half of a row. So I didn't even have 2 full rows. And it was just 1 bed. Had I had tons of beds out here and filled them all up with potatoes, then I would have had more potatoes. But I am pleased with what I do have. So the lesson is, push the limits it's your garden. Push the limits in your garden. Do something that you're like, I don't know if it'll work. And always, when I take a risk, I take it on a low scale. Does that make sense? Like, I'm not going to bet the whole farm and I'm not going to take up all this space to try a crop. Like, I wouldn't have pulled up tomatoes and rows of tomatoes and planted 200-foot rows to see if it was going to work. No, I did 1 bed. And that's how I always do things that I am not familiar with, things that are risky, or things that I am experimenting. I take it in a small increment, a small space, and I try it. And then that way I will know. I will know. So, y'all, I'm excited about my potatoes. I am excited. Now, if you already knew that you could grow fall potatoes in zone 7, why you didn't tell me? Why y'all didn't tell me? But if you didn't know, now you know. Okay, so I hope that this encouraged you and inspired you, and that's one more thing that you can add to your gardening tool belt and to your list, right? Is to try fall potatoes, especially if you're in my zone. I appreciate you guys stopping by and chatting with me in the garden today. I'm about to take my potatoes in the house. I'm going to actually put them in my. Okay, I thought I saw something. I already got bit. Y'all, look, I got bit. I tell you these things, they love me. There's some ants in that bed that I did not know, and I pulled up the last one, and something got inside my glove. I told you, y'all, they love me. I'm about to go in the house. Oh, that's that plant. I'm like, what is that up against my leg? I'm about to take these in the garage. I'm going to let them cure for a couple of weeks before I use them, and that just makes the skin tougher and helps them to kind of develop the flavor and all that good stuff. And then I'm gonna put something on this little insect bite and start focusing on what we're gonna have for dinner, like every other mama does around this time of the day. So anyway, I hope that this video was helpful. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please hit the subscribe button. I would love for you to be a member of this community. And remember, gardening is a journey. Let's grow together. I'll see you next time, friend.